Welcome back to another episode of the Corporate Cowboys podcast. My name is Alex, as always, your host. Today, proof of life, it's Wednesday, March 15, 2023. And I've got another little half-hour consultation for you. My apologies. I'm putting a couple of days in between episodes at the moment because work is getting busy. So, I hope y'all enjoyed the time I took to organize and coordinate schedules with Alex in order to have them on the podcast. And we got a good hour in, just going back and forth, decompressing and just therapizing, 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 I guess, just harmonizing as far as professional development goes. Now, if you are not familiar with the theme of the podcast yet, just know that that's exactly what it is. It's a form of professional therapy. It's cathartic in some sense, and it's self-edifying in another. So we hope that we're able to educate while we entertain you on tales, potential strategies, approaches in corporate. Tonight, it's just me, but the better I get at coordinating, because there are more than one moving parts in our schedules, the better I get at coordinating with Alex, the more I'll have them on the podcast. Today's question is coming from r/career guidance, r/career guidance, and it's been flared for advice. So they do want some advice. Just a quick disclaimer, if you didn't know yet, everything you are hearing now ought not to be construed as legal advice. You haven't retained us. We are not your representatives. We are not your agents. We're just corporate cowboys. We're stand-up guys with criminal minds. So nothing that we present or that we convey across the multiple mediums that you might find us on, none of it should be construed as legal advice. We do not condone any wrongdoing or wrongful activity, just the questionable kind. But still, you've got to be able to back that up just on the strength of being a corporate cowboy. They can question you, but you've got to be principled at the end of the day. So they're asking here in r/career guidance, how do I politely clap back to being called buddy or bud in a professional setting? In a professional setting. Do you want to clap back? Is buddy or bud like derogatory? Are they using it in a way to snub you in front of colleagues or in front of business associates? Right? If they're outsider third parties and they're using bud or buddy, you've got to really, really analyze the circumstances and find whether or not they're trying to undermine your professional image in spite of the team's reputation, right? So if you are, say you're in a position of leadership and a lateral colleague to you, anybody lateral to you or subordinate to you calling you buddy or pal, again, you've got to take into account whether it's verbally, right? Or over an email, over a text. I suppose I could see that, especially if you're working close together and coordinating possible moves or strategies when it comes to making deals or, structuring a deal together, and you've got everything is touch and go. So bud or buddy might be a shorthand for your colleagues, your associates, but you've got to find out whether or not the intent is being conveyed as such. There are going to be instances where you'll just have to swallow it, or at least come to terms with the fact that certain of your associates, certain colleagues just operate under those premises. Either they have a more relaxed ideal of professionalism, and that's not bad, but you're the one, if you are the leader, as the professional, you're the one who will have to then decide whether or not that associate, that colleague of yours who uses buddy, pal, bud, chief, right? And I've been called just about all of those, but it comes back to me if I'm in the hypothetical client's position. If I'm in the hypothetical client's shoes, it's up to me to decide whether or not I want to bring that associate into the fold on this deal that I'm structuring, on this business transaction that I'm putting together, right? Because if your counterparty, if your if your counterparty is a professional, then the image you want to give off is one of professionalism, one in which your team respects you and uh, holds you to high standards. So you can't be communicating with one another as buddy, pal, bro. Uh, I mean, coming up, uh, having put in some work, you have people in your circle who use the N word, just straight up say nigga, and to them it's the most natural thing to say in any given circumstance. Just like people who use other vulgar language, who use fuck, shit, pussy, bitch, right? In just normal parlance, where in corporate that may not always fly. I mean, every now and then you'll see someone who's managed to ascend to a position of power, a position of leadership, an executive role, and they speak like that. But it's a privilege. It's a privilege. It's not always a right. Yeah, you can exercise your rights and others can choose. Others can choose not to associate with you for having done it. But again, given the context and the circumstances, if you have the reputation, if you have the rapport, if you have the credibility to be able to back up what you say, it's tantamount to threatening somebody and not have it be an empty threat, right? It's the same thing as brandishing a weapon on the street. You aren't going to brandish, you aren't going to pull shit out if you're not going to use it, right? So if you speak in a certain way, buddy, pal, bro, and you're not sincere about it, if you're two-faced, if you're uh, uh, using some kind of double speak, or you're using it in a manipulative, demeaning, conniving manner, it will come back to you. It may not immediately, but if somebody were to press you on the issue and you fold like a bitch, that's on you. That's on you, and it will negatively impact your professionalism. Those repercussions will travel, will carry, and people will know. Your future associates will know. Your immediate associates will know for sure, and your reputation is just tarnished from then on. I haven't even read the body. My apologies. I got carried off on the title. I do that sometimes, but we have a pretty big body to this one, so I'll go ahead and start reading. I will still keep this to 30 minutes, and I'll try not to cut it off as much. Right. So they're asking, too long didn't read. So they give us the too long didn't read up front, where they say, how do I nicely tell people I interact with at work, but outside of my direct company, to stop calling me bud or buddy, right? Now, these are individuals that they interact with through work, it sounds like, but they're outside of their direct company. Whether or not they mean the company of like their immediate circle, their division, their department, or the organization entirely, right? If these are individuals which you interact with in your industry, right? They're going to be business suppliers, distributors, producers, manufacturers, retailers, right? If you're working business to business and this is somebody else at another business that you interact with often and they're calling you buddy or pal, you got it, pal, you got it, buddy. That's, to me, that's business, right? Especially if it's the industry, if the industry lends itself to that. And that's going to depend also on the social and professional network in which you come up in, because you have to be mindful of the chain of command in which you reside. You reside in somebody else's, for lack of a better term, army, for lack of an even better term, fiefdom or fiefdom, for lack of a better term, somebody's crew, somebody's gang, right? If you have managers, and if you have managers, the managers in that industry all refer to one another in a certain professional cordiality, right? They might have common courtesies for one another when they speak to one another. And so those sometimes, sometimes, and I've seen it more often than not, sometimes it'll carry to the subordinates, where if your manager tasks you with negotiating a deal with some other department head at another company, they may have already done business transactions in the past. So to this other person, you might be the new one. And to this other person, it's something routine. They've done it before with the person who was in your position before you. So to them, it's just buddy. Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Well, this is how the ropes go here. Just uh, showing you the ropes, I guess, on how to start or progress through the negotiation. If you didn't already go into the negotiation knowing how to conduct yourself, right? But if you're dealing with somebody who's been in their position for way more time than you have, it's going to be common that they view you as a passerby, as a transient, somebody who's just passing through, just going through the motions. You might leave the next month, the next year, and the next person that comes in, maybe it won't be worth their time to learn your name. They'll just refer to you as buddy or pal. I mean, what more do you want? You want them to refer to you as the executive VP of merchandising, and then that's it, right? No, I mean, you're not going to call people by their title. It's going to be something short, either their name or something shorter. Sorry. So they say here, long story, long story. Okay, well, then let's read it for you. I have climbed the ranks in my industry fairly quickly, and as a result, I am younger than many people at my title or similar title. They're in their late 20s, they say, and they're at a director title. Very nice. Very nice. That's what I like to see. Hungry motherfuckers, go getters, consummate professionals for the most part, from what it sounds like, right? If they want to be known as by their own name, maybe they do have a title that is customary in their industry. Maybe that's what they want to be known by. But otherwise, a consummate professional, and I can appreciate that. They're saying, I also work in an industry where communication outside of my direct company is a huge part of my job. So something like business to business. That's what I'm thinking. Something B2B. Throughout my career, people, largely straight men, have called me. What the fuck does that matter? All right, you're gonna bring some fuckery into this. Let's put it to you this way, right? Um, yeah. I mean, nah. Maybe they're just trying to relate or disarm you somehow, right? And apparently, it's getting under your skin. Um, which to me it means it's working, right? So if they're relating to you or disarming you somehow, it's getting under your skin. And I don't want to project, but shit, maybe you have a fucking crush, you bitch. All right. Throughout my career, people, largely straight men, have called me bud or buddy in both verbal and written communications instead of my name. I mean, I could probably do verbal, but written, again, I mentioned before, written really depends. Is it through text? I mean, are we working through company phones? Is it through email? Um, is it through? I mean, what else is there? Is it through formal correspondence? Is it first class mail? Are they writing this shit to me in a demand letter of some kind, in some kind of legal notice, right? If they're putting, "Hey, bro, we're suing you," yeah, I would take offense to that because there are certain legal formalities, certain professional formalities that go into professional writing. So, I mean, if they're dropping the ball, that's on them. I personally, I wouldn't get offended. I would definitely uh, clap back. Mm, maybe not clap back in the sense that I would be reprimanding them, but you, I mean, really the only option at that point would be to outclass them in professionalism and show them who's boss, show them who's daddy over here, fucking largely straight man, fuck out of here. In the beginning of my career, they write, in the beginning of my career, I chalked it up to my low level title and newness, I guess noviceness, newness in the industry. I also am a queer man who is of below average height, which I felt also may play into it. Oh my fucking goodness. That said, that said, I had assumed that as I rose in title, it would work its way out. I was wrong, they write. I mean, this question I already have issues with because they're projecting. It's a whole lot of fucking projecting going on, and maybe now I'm thinking not a whole lot of professionalism. But I don't know. We'll see. If anything, they write it's getting progressively worse. Well, I could tell you what else is getting progressively worse. I we live in a society, fam. We live in a fucking society. I believe this this is might be what I believe this might be. Okay, they mistyped that. I believe this might be due to the fact that I am young for my title. Yes, you see, let's start there. Let's start there. Youth, I can believe, but all this gay bullshit, nah, nah. But also, maybe overthinking it. I'm gonna go with actually that. Definitely overthinking it. I've seen the young. I've seen the young because I've been the young, where where they're using buddy, pal as a way of demeaning you, especially when you rise in rank and motherfuckers have been in the same position for way longer, for years. They're almost treated as lifers even, and then you just come through 1 month to the next, 1 quarter to the next, and you're making moves. You're making moves. You're moving up, and they feel some type of way about it. So of course they're gonna try to the phrase is son you. They're gonna try to son you, treat you like a son, treat you like a kid. Hey buddy, hey pal, hey little guy, right? Like that's even worse, right? But if they go hey guy, hey little man, hey man, just trying to demean you in a way where they're trying to impress not their technical expertise, but I mean their legal seniority, just their age. Trying to say like, hey kid, I'm 50 years old. You're half my age. You haven't seen half the shit. And I'm like, dog, I've done twice the amount that you have in your 50 fucking years. So it's you know, I digress, but I digress, right? Either way, they say, either way, they write, I would love for it to stop, but I feel like coming out and saying it directly would make me come off as insecure and may only make the problem worse. I would agree. I would agree to some extent, but there is a way of addressing it. There is always a way to address this in order to preserve your professional image and to preserve respect. You wouldn't necessarily be burning bridges, you would be fortifying them. You would be fortifying them. That requires a lot of advanced planning, higher level thinking, strategy, logic, and tact. What you're dealing with here is psychosocial mechanisms in professionals, right? That may have become complacent and resting on their laurels, becoming comfortable with you, right? Becoming comfortable with you to the extent that it's impacting your professional development. So you want to continue your professional development uh, progressing. You don't want to retard your professional development. What you have to do is address it professionally. Don't be insecure about it, right? Posing this question, sure, it exposes some vulnerabilities, and you've already mentioned you're gay or you're queer or you're short, I guess, in stature and in height, but that's got nothing to do with who you are as a professional. Now, you want to allow your fucking complexions, your complex, to bleed through in your professional life. People are going to treat you some type of way, and you'll recognize it. You want to uh, let your personal life bleed into your professional life. That's on you. I've said it before. Who you are personally informs who you are professionally, but who you are professionally, what you do professionally, bleeds into your personal life. So don't be insecure about it. Don't be insecure about it. You can address it. If anything, at least mitigate it, limit it somehow. Tell them, I'll finish here. I'll finish here. Hold on. They continue. If anything, it's getting progressively worse. Yada yada yada. Internally, they write. Internally, people do not do this. What do they mean internally? Like within themselves or within your company? Internally, people do not do this. I have had one boss who started to do this when he first moved into my management line, and I started calling him pal as a response. Oh, okay. He took the hint, and now we have a whole bit where we call each other buddy, pal, and guy. This feels a little inappropriate to do externally in professional communications, but the industry I work in is pretty lax as far as professionalism goes. Okay, there you are. That's the context we were looking for. But I mean, they're not done. They've got a couple sentences here. So, the industry I work in is pretty lax as far as professionalism goes. So, I could probably get away with it if I tried it and thought it would help. They say they finish off here. Would love any advice people have to offer, or would love to hear what others did in a similar situation. This account is a throwaway for privacy reasons. Yada yada yada. Okay. Well, if I had to address it, if I had to address it, it would necessarily be um, by a phone call first. I mean, you want to be a corporate cowboy about it. I would not send an email with you somehow exposing this vulnerability, right? Because that's going to come off almost as insensitive, right? You don't know. You may have been in a in a relationship, unbeknownst to yourself, well, where somebody's treating you as their buddy, as their pal, and then you write in an email, it might come off as flagrant. It might come off as scathing, even. Don't call me this. I would appreciate you not calling me this. Yes, there are ways to write an email, but why the fuck would you want that paper trail? That kind of paper trail. I mean, there are instances where you want receipts. Not so much in this one. Not so much in this one. I would start with a phone call, personally, depending on how well you know, right? And again, take this all with a grain of salt because I still have follow-up questions, but I don't think I have enough time on this episode. I've got about 6-7 minutes left. I've still got questions as far as what the industry is, exactly what type of people they speak with, at what level, what types of organizations, how do they interact from organization to organization? What does one organization do? Why do they need each other? right? Because even that might inform the organizational culture that they come from. It might be that your company is of a more professional white collar setting, and the firms you are associating with, those outside peoples, are a little more gray collar, blue collar. Things are things are more lax, more casual in their organizations. So don't get lost in the translation. I wouldn't feel any way about it. Addressing them in external communications like emails, if you start this little petty bullshit where they're, hey, pal, hope you had a nice weekend, buddy, and you're just in return, thanks, bro, much appreciated, pal, like thinking you're expressing some kind of emotion or trying to drop some kind of hint or a clue via email, you know folks can't read emotion or intent in an email. It just comes off as technical writing. But if any transaction that you consummate, that you process with this counterparty, if any of it goes into dispute, they're going to think you all were friends at some point. So what do? You outclass them. You remain the professional, the consummate professional. Refer to them by their last name, Mr. or Mrs. So and so. Thank you very much for your previous communication. Just wanted to follow up on this order or this invoice number or whatever, what have you. And that's it. End it there. Or, I mean, of course, you want a little closer, have a nice weekend or whatever. You still want to be cordial, but at no point in time do you need to reciprocate the energy, petty or otherwise, because it will not come across the way you think it will. If it was over a phone call, and let's see, let's think of a good scenario, a good hypothetical. Let's say the hypothetical client is actually coordinating with an outside service contractor, an outside contractor. And what they need is this contractor's services in order to consummate another deal, right? And the communications are about three-way or four-way even. A bunch of names getting CC'd, some even BCC'd. Do you want this person referring to you as bro or buddy? No, definitely not. Again, it depends on the context. Most instances, at least me personally, no, you do not. You do not want to disclose too much to the other counterparties as far as the level of acquaintance or the level of relation you keep with your contractors. That to me is opening yourself up to liability, to scrutiny, unnecessarily opening yourself up. So that's where a phone call might come in, letting them know what the game plan is like. Professional communications only when dealing with other third parties. If they are going to CC me and we are working together, it's professional speak only. Professional verbiage only. Don't bro me, don't butter me, don't pal me, don't chief me, don't king me, right? You can do that. You can do all that shit over text. If you know me like that, if we get along like that. So how do you prevent it, right? How do you prevent it? In some instances, like I said before, you're going to have to come to terms with the fact that some people just speak like that, given their background, given the organizational culture they came up in. It's not something you can change. Unless for whatever, unless I guess a pipe dream here, some higher end hypothetical, unless you ascended to a position where you can influence how your outside counterparts act, right? If you become the executive director at yours, not just the director, the executive director, and you can speak to the other executive director as a professional, let them know that communications between both of your organizations are to remain professional only for the sake of image and reputation and appearance. But that's going to take time too. I mean, you're just a director. You still have to move up. You have plenty of room to grow. You have. I was going to make a short joke, but nah. We do want to respect the short kings out there who may feel vulnerable for some reason. I know plenty of individuals shorter than me, taller than me. I treat them all with a sense of respect because, in some respects, they might be better than me in certain aspects of this thing we call life, this thing we call corporate. And if I need them, I might bro them. I might pal them or buddy them if we get along like that. Otherwise, it's last names, Mr., Mrs., formal salutations, right? Especially if I'm CCing somebody else in it. If I'm BCCing someone else in it. Why? Because I help set up my own network, my own associates, my colleagues. I help set them up as professionals. I allow them to start off on the right foot. Otherwise, I open myself up for them to backhand me. That's the term I was looking for. Not clap back. Don't clap back. Backhand. But that's higher level thinking. That's higher level thinking. Really, it's just outclassing them, being a professional. If you find yourself in a position where you need help, right? You need that type of assistance. You would like to schedule a one-on-one. By all means, that's what we're here for. Reach out to us. We're on Instagram. You can DM us. You can write to us. Our handle on Instagram is at Corporate Cowboys with a Z. We're on Patreon, the Corporate Cowboys Podcast. You can subscribe to any number of tiers. I think you can subscribe to more than one, even if you are that devout. Just know that any monies we get from the podcast goes towards keeping it nonprofit and towards others' business expenses and legal fees. So, write to us. Shoot us a donation if you are so inclined. Oh, our mailing address is P.O. Box 3372, Rancho Cordova, California 95741. You know we enjoy receiving what you send us. So until next time, just remain the consummate professional. Don't let any of this get under your skin, especially your identities. These bullshit social identities, don't let them get under your skin because you're a professional first. Yes, you're an individual, but a professional first. If you're not taking care of business, why the fuck should business take care of you? You're allowing your social identity to get in the way of something productive. Right? Don't let your social identity retard your own professional development. Just be righteous. Be righteous. Have yourself a good one. I'll catch you next time.